world. So we're going to start today with a conversation with Jean-Philippe JP Persico. I imagine you prefer going by JP.
I do, yeah.
JP is managing partner of
Sure.
shuckerVC. We met on LinkedIn, haven't had a chance to actually meet. So this is our first meeting. JP, welcome. It's great to
Thanks
have
for
you.
having me. Thanks for having me.
So since this is your first appearance here, let's start with a bit of introduction about your background, about shuckerVC, and then we'll delve into your investment thesis.
Sure. So my background, I'm originally from Switzerland. I grew up in a small town between the three big cities, Basel, Bern, and Zurich. And basically my whole life I was in technology. Since age 6, I've had a computer. I started with an IBM. And basically my dad brought home computers from his work. He worked for a big oil company, and just every single time they pretty much switched, I think almost every 9 months at that point in the 80s. He just brought the old computer home, and I started taking it apart, figuring out how it works, put the DOS on there, and basically always loved technology from a really young age and building things. Then went to a apprenticeship in a commercial business. From there, I became a software engineer, basically running a whole floor of traders that trade electricity from one country to the other. It was one of the great providers in Switzerland. And then I went to college after that, did some military service as well in between, but went to college, and in college I studied business administration, so super boring. And met my wife, who is American, which brought me to the US. And basically in 2015, I started my investment journey. I became a corporate venture capitalist for Bosch, which turned out to be kind of random to start that within Bosch. But at the end of the day, I took over the corporate strategy department for our North American division. And one of the challenges was like, you need to figure out how we can grow from the outside without buying companies. And the goal was to invest into companies. So at that point, I started investing into software companies, and that basically brought the journey from software engineer to consultant to transformation consultant within Bosch to strategy to then venture capitalist. Ended up having a $200 million P&L as well at Bosch, so had a ton of fun, and joined the venture studio right after Bosch, or I left Bosch for a venture studio, which brought me to the Bay Area. And then, the rest is history. Venture studio was interesting, but I really, really missed the investing side. So we started shuckerVC in 2024.
And how big is shuckerVC's fund, and what is the investment thesis?
Sure. So Graham and I have met 15 years ago. And when we started shuckerVC, we had one goal. We wanted to do a bit of a differentiated way how to bring value to entrepreneurs early on in the pre-seed and seed stage. So we said we're going to build a $10 million fund that invests into B2B software companies, and in a pre-seed and seed stage, mostly US domestic companies. And we built that on my track record as an investor prior to shuckerVC. I had a 3.08 DPI track record. So it was really important for us to showcase that we have investing experience. And we're taking the operator experience from my co-founder, Graham, who launched a fundamental AI company together with 3 neural scientist engineers and basically AI fundamentalist engineers. And what they did is building a really interesting company. They raised over $130 million, and he left them due to the fact that he didn't want to be a manager in the say of like managing 1 million people. He really wanted to build from 0 to 1. And that was kind of our goal. If we invest into a company, we want to help them to really focus on engineering a product and not giving them just money and say, oh, talk to our advising network. That's fine. So when we start.
So what size, when you say you do pre-seed and seed, what check size and what do you want to see in the company in terms of proof points to want to write checks?
Great question. So pre-seed proof point for us is really more on the technology side and the team side. So who is the team? Is there a single CEO? Is it like a couple of co-founders, and what are they targeting from an industry perspective? What kind of software are they building? And do they have a certain first indicators that what they're building has, I would say, minimal product market fit, not really a product market fit yet. On the seed stage, we do really look at product velocity. So we really closely follow the startup over a 4 to 6 week process where we assess how fast can they build their overall product and features, and what kind of signals do they get from their customers. Our check size varies between $100,000 and $500,000 in that case, so between pre-seed and seed, to answer your question there too.
And within B2B, you said you're doing B2B software. Could you double click down? Is it mostly AI that you're doing right now? Is it...
I mean, you can't get away from AI, especially in the Bay Area. Yes, absolutely. It can be agentic, it can be AI. What we really care about is if AI is used, it has to be used in a way that is kind of hidden, or the UI has to really be supportive of the experience the user has with the software. So we do not generally enjoy seeing AI integrated as a prompting / chat experience into a software solution. We actually do have in our fund a thesis that we believe that AI is kind of the gateway to the next GUI, because we believe that the mouse and the keyboard might be over and pressing buttons might be over, but your overall GUI will completely change because AI can predict certain things and can prescribe others. So that said, we really look to companies who can hide their AI as much as possible in the experience for the user.
So let's do some case studies. You've invested in companies already, yes?
Yeah.
So let's talk about some companies that you've invested in. And while you're telling the stories, tell us how you met them, in what stage, what did they have when you met them that made you want to write the checks?
Sure. Let me go through our first company. We met them through our network. They're a Series Seed company. They were raising $2.5 million at that point. 3 people in the team, CEO led, 2 engineers. And really what drove us to invest into the company are 2 things. We felt that the technology had itself a moat, not only because it was patented, because patents don't mean much.
And what is the business?
It's called Algorized, and it's a female founder called Natalia Lopareva. Algorized's first business they showed us was basically building an edge AI algorithm which goes on sensors. So they built a software, or you can call it a firmware to be more specific, that they can deploy to sensors that are in our world. That could be a sensor such as a radar sensor, it could be a Wi-Fi module, it could be an ultra-wideband sensor. Mm-hmm. And her software basically enabled these sensors to become more powerful with what they see. So with her software, she could actually detect heart and breathing rate out of people through walls, and understand where people stand, how tall these people are, what kind of motions they have. Mm-hmm. No one has ever been able to do that. So when we met her, her first use case was, hey, I'm going to put this into cars because cars need to understand if there's human life starting in 2026 by regulation. So basically, if we all know that there is babies dying every year in cars because the cars are overheating, and there's not really been a solution to that. And like the seatbelt, the solution to that has to be that car manufacturers build person detection modules within the cars. There's multiple ways car manufacturers are doing this today. One is by pressure indicators in the seats, where you know how heavy something is in the seat, and therefore you can say that there is something there. We both know that that's not sufficient, because if a box is in the car or if a human is in the car, it might have the same pressure. The other way, like Tesla has done it, is by having a camera in the car and looking at if there is a human via ML, understanding, okay, I see pictures, these look like human, I identify them with human. Also not really reliable, because we all know if you have small kids, they have dolls. if a doll lays on the seat, the camera might identify it as a human as well. So you really need to have something that actually understands that there is a pulse, or better said, there is a heart rate and a breathing rate. And Natalia was able to create basically a software that can translate really random / unusable pictures from these radars and is able to identify people and their vitals. And we saw a huge opportunity in this. We saw an opportunity in healthcare. We saw an opportunity in manufacturing. But where, in my opinion, it's kind of also like you always think about the things the low-hanging fruit, I will call it, and you see these things right away. Oh, wow, there's a huge TAM, which we haven't even noticed before. And the most important TAM, which has been emerging over the last 6 months, is really the robotics and humanoid TAM. So where can she go in? One big problem with robots today is that cameras, LiDAR, and radar only tell you that there is an object, but they don't tell you if this object is moving and if it's moving towards you or not. It's completely random because it's just sensors that basically take in milliseconds pictures and understand what's happening, but they don't know if the object is alive or if it's another robot or if it's something else. And we see a huge opportunity in that space because with her technology, we believe that for the first time, robots and humans don't have to have safety fences in between anymore when they are in a manufacturing facility or when they are coexisting.
So, how much of this was in place when you wrote the check?
So the code was in place. The business model was not there. She didn't know how to sell this. She had a ton of requests from chip manufacturers, but she didn't know how to price it. But the technology worked. And what Shocker does basically when we write a seed check, we bring one person into the company as a resource for the company to manage HR, finance, marketing, recruiting, accounting. So really pretty much everything but product and engineering. And Natalia really wanted Shocker to be on her cap table due to that effect. She basically is like, I'm a third-time founder. The last thing I need right now is starting to try to hire a marketing person, an HR person. I just need engineers and I need more engineers. And she had 17 venture capital firms bidding for that to be on the cap table, and we were one of them next to Amazon.
Okay. And let's do one more example of what you've invested in.
Sure.
And we'll talk about
our latest investment, Atlas. It really goes into that deep software B2B aspect. Atlas I've met them through the 500 Global mentorship program. I'm a mentor at 500 Global, and I first met them, I was like, what exactly are they doing? And the more and more we talked, I saw that there are two tremendous domain experts in the product management space. And one problem they're solving is how do software companies price themselves to the market? So they basically are thinking about pricing as many of us who have gone to business school have learned with the 4 Ps. They are doing that for software, where place is the normal SaaS distribution model, so software as a service. But then how do you price it? How do you promote it? And how do you actually get the person to understand what features you have? They really build an agent that lives in software that helps you identify how people are using software or your software and how people are actually attached to certain features, so you can upsell them, you can build on these features, and you can cross-sell them as well. The other aspect they have looked into is like, as agents are becoming more evolved, how do you actually sell an agent? Do you sell an agent as a resource, like you hire a person, or do you do an outcome-based where you basically say, hey, now you don't have this HR payroll problem anymore, or it's not a problem. I would say now you might need less people to do more. So instead of thinking it as payroll, think about it as an outcome we can deliver. Should we price it as a certain percent of how much money we are generating for you, or how many hours you're getting more to do more? So they're really thinking about pricing in a way for the future, and not into like the Chinese menu where you pick and choose and then get a price, or the typical SaaS where you have basic, small business, enterprise, and platinum. They really think about it more holistic if on the outcome base.
So this is very interesting and a very interesting subject right now. You know, if you look at companies like ServiceNow and Atlassian who are doing agents extensively, they are taking the perspective of kind of building the agents into their subscription. They're not doing usage-based pricing or impact-based pricing. And I've talked to some startups also. I was talking to a cybersecurity startup that is also using agents extensively in their software, but it's all being built into the subscription. And what I'm hearing from them is that the buyers prefer the predictability and the regularity of what they're budgeting. What are you seeing in the market through the lens of this company? What are you seeing in the market?
It's really interesting. I do agree that there is a perspective of a predictability and the budgeting aspect. We've seen the same when we went into cloud computing, where people were used to have their own storage in their like server rooms in their business, to then going, oh, now I have to buy bandwidth, or now I have to buy compute or CPUs or online. So there's always been this whole like, what are the unit economics, and the tension between the buyer and the seller has existed not only during AI and during tokens, but also pre-tokens. So what we are seeing is there is definitely a wave towards how can I price this that it is feeling like a one price or a unit economics I can sell internally. What we're also seeing is it's going away from a seat-based pricing. The seat-based pricing is really hard to sell when you start having agents doing things across different users. So there is definitely the discussions about outcome-based pricing have started quite significantly. You called it impact-based pricing when you asked the question, but at the end of the day, it's still hard to find the right like the best alternative way you actually negotiating this. But on the other hand side, when we talk to the startups and we talk to our pricing startups, they see that startups are getting smarter in how to talk to customers, and due to the technology they can use, they can make pricing more customized. So I think we'll see in the future a bit even less transparency on the pricing. You've obviously already seen that in the last
this is a bit counter to what constitutes good venture scale startups, right? Which is repeatability.
No, not really, because at the end of the day, if your revenue grows month over month, and your revenue growth outgrows your cost growth, so if you like do an agent, then you have way too many token costs and you're not getting enough money, and then we have a problem with venture scale returns in the future if you don't solve that problem. But at the end of the day, what's important is you want to see the ICP come back. And I think, to your point, it's less about venture scale returns than more about how do you use KPIs to actually assess these companies in the future.
Yeah, I think
a lot of different KPIs in that SaaS world. We might need to redefine these KPIs in the future.
Yeah, I saw the movement away from licensed software to software as a service in front of my eyes. We've been covering this for a long time, and I've been in this industry for a long time. So that shift happened, and it took a while for the market to shift to that, but the public market loved that. Then initially there were very few software as a service companies. Salesforce.com broke through, and then Wall Street fell in love with the software as a service model, repeatable, very predictable, it's MRR, ARR, predictability. They loved it. But I think we're going away from that, and I think there are leading indicators that we're going to go away from that.
I think so. I think it's important to stress what SaaS really brought to the table, because SaaS was more a distribution model of software, not a licensing model of software. Versus the software was distributed before via packages that you requested from your software vendor, and you basically bought licenses in bulk and then installed these licenses on premise. SaaS went to a cloud-based model where you basically had the opportunity to really quickly change features on the usability of your user base. But at the end of the day,
that's from the delivery model side, yes. That's from the delivery model perspective. But some of the great adoption of SaaS came because of the pricing model.
Yes, absolutely.
CFOs loved it. Wall Street loved it. VCs loved it. The predictability and the repeatability was and predictable revenue, recurring revenue became very attractive. Anyway, it's a longer conversation, and I have 3 other people that we're going to be working with. So it's great, JP. It's great to meet you. We will see each other on LinkedIn, and then we'll have you back in a few months when we have, the market is moving so fast. So we'll have a lot more to talk about. Yes?
Sounds good. Good to meet you.